Hello of Becoming a Good Student, a group coaching program for college students who want to earn A's and learn how to handle it all with ease. And this is the very first episode of what I'm calling Becoming Her, a weekly personal development, personal growth update that I am doing on this YouTube channel to show you all the behind the scenes of what it takes to actually achieve your goals. I used to do these becoming series inside of my private Facebook group, and I kind of was half in, half out, because this really requires me to be super transparent and vulnerable and be willing to share everything, all of the emotions, all of the thoughts, all of the failures as you are working your way towards a goal. And so I'm going to start off by saying that the goal that I'm currently working on, I have been working on for the past 6 years. Yes, you heard that correctly. I have been working towards this goal for the past 6 years. When I initially started my YouTube channel and when I initially started my company, my academic life coaching company, She Rocks at College, I had the goal that I wanted to become a multiple six-figure business owner. I wanted to have my programs in colleges and universities. I wanted to support hundreds of thousands of students through learning how to study and learning how to really handle everything. Handle being a full-time worker, handle being a wife, a mom, handle being an adult while also taking full college class loads. And one of the things that has come through or has transpired through me trying to achieve this goal is a lot of failure because not only have I not achieved that goal, I have fallen short time and time again, and I have wanted to quit more times than I am comfortable admitting. In fact, I have quit more times than I am comfortable to admit, but I keep going. And so I want to walk you through today this initiation that I experienced into becoming her. And when I talk about becoming her, what I mean is the goal that I have to be the academic life coach for college women. I want to be the Tony Robbins, the Oprah, the Mel Robbins, the Carol Dweck, the just think of any big personal development person. I want to be that for college women. I want to be that for students, women in particular, who are working part-time to full-time while they're in college, who are going back to school, who are mothers, who are single mothers, who are married, who are dating, who are just trying to do life while they're also pursuing their academic goals. And my entire life, because I've been doing a reflection. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I sat down and I wrote down everything that I've accomplished in my life. I wrote down everything I've overcome. I wrote down everything that I have achieved. Hi, Marieli. And I really did a deep reflection of my life. I really looked at what's working, what's not working. I looked at all of my deep wounding. I looked at all of the things that I need to work on if I'm going to achieve this goal. And my entire life has been about worthiness. It has been about trying to prove that I am smart enough, trying to prove that I am pretty enough, trying to prove that I am interesting enough, trying to prove that I am helpful enough, trying to prove that I am all of these things. And it started from being really little. And I can remember, of course, it happened in the educational setting of not being smart enough to get into this middle school and this high school that were in the state that I live in. And then the entire time, just trying to be this perfect student so that people could realize that I was smart enough. And that led me through college, which led me to pursue trying to become a doctor, because smart people, that's what they do. They become lawyers or they become doctors. And when that didn't work out, and I was told to my face that I would probably never make it in any science field whatsoever, I then pursued nursing. Not because I wanted those things. Yes, I did. I enjoyed, I still have my nursing credentials. I just do not work as a nurse currently. I haven't for the past 18 months since I've had my daughter, literally since the day before she was born. And everything has been in this pursuit of just trying to prove to everyone that I am worthy enough to be in the room, worthy enough to be considered, worthy enough to be seen, worthy enough for people to give me the time of day. And that started with my educational experience. And it bled into my business experience. It bled into the goals that I was trying to achieve, building this academic life coaching company. And I talk a lot about something that I call the journey of becoming. If you're one of my students, you probably hear me talk about this as the journey to becoming a good student. And there is this point in that journey called the pit of despair. And the pit of despair is this moment where you're no longer motivated, you're no longer inspired. That isn't driving you anymore, but you're also not where it is that you want to be. And it literally feels like you're stuck. It feels like you should probably quit. It feels like nothing is working. It feels like you're never going to achieve anything that you want. It feels like you should probably quit. And in fact, the voice that speaks to you when you're in that pit of despair sounds just like that. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. You don't have the skills. Who do you think you are? It's impossible for you. You probably should just quit. It's never going to work. There is no point. Just stop. And for the past 6 years in my business, I did not realize this until the beginning of this year in January. I have been in the pit of despair. And I have been oscillating between this pit of despair and what I call the inspired dream. The inspired dream is where you have all the motivation, you have all the inspiration, you have all the drive. You're so excited to go after this goal. The pit of despair is when you can't rely on that motivation anymore because you've experienced too much failure. And you cannot see how you're going to get out. And what happened to me, the pattern that I experienced when I was in this pit of despair, is that it felt uncomfortable. And I would make it mean that I didn't have the skills that I needed to achieve my goal, right? So let me see if I can actually find, I just dropped my headphones. Let me see if I can actually, okay. I have an image of it. I'm going to bring it out so you guys can see. This is what that journey looks like. Let me see if I can get it into focus, okay? So over here, we have the inspired dream. This is where we all start when it comes to achieving our goals. We're super excited. Everything is possible. We cannot wait to get to our success and our fulfillment. But on the way there, because this is a journey, meaning that there are stages that you have to go through to get to the other side. Just like when you leave your house, you have to drive down certain streets to get to the grocery store, right? This is a journey. It's going to take the streets. It's going to take the stop signs. It's going to take all the things to get to where it is that you want to go. We all start off here being super inspired. And then there comes a point where you're required to learn new skills in order to achieve your goal. So for me, in the sense of business, I had to learn marketing and copywriting and how to build a course and how to position myself and the type of content that I need to create in order to really talk about what it is that I do with students and how to sell and how to talk about money and what you're selling and all those types of things. And so you start to learn all of those skills, and when you're first learning something, you suck at it. I sucked at writing copy. I sucked at sales. The only thing that I was really good at, and I have been good at from the beginning, is coaching and study skills and teaching students. I'm a teacher at heart. But when it comes to all the stuff that comes with business, When it comes with all the uncomfortable things that you have to do as a business owner, or putting yourself out there and making offers to people, I had to learn those skills, right? And so I hired coaches. I purchased programs. I went through those programs. I was writing emails. I was doing all the things, and I just kept hearing no after no after no after no, or crickets from students wanting to come into my program. And it sucks when you're learning something new to experience that much failure. It really does, because when you're here in this inspired dream place, when you're here in this inspired dream place, you don't think about the possibility of failing. You don't think about all the hard moments. You don't think about how much work it's going to be. You don't think about that you might not be perfect or you might not be good at it. You're just like, I'm ready to go. I want this so bad. And I hit a point where I was experiencing so much rejection and so much failure that I would hit the pit of despair, which is this point right here. And everybody is going to go through this. And when you get here, you have the option to quit, or you have the option to persist. And the thing about this quitting thing is that sometimes you do it without realizing that you're doing it. And that's what I was doing. I was doing what I call these mini quits, where I was still showing up, but internally, I had decided that it probably wasn't going to work for me. I was showing up and creating YouTube videos. I was showing up for my coaching calls with my students. I was showing up for my one-on-one sessions with my students. I was showing up on Instagram. I was showing up in my Facebook group. I was writing emails. I was doing all of the things that you're supposed to do in order to build a business. And it wasn't working. At least not the way that I thought it should work. I felt super behind. I felt like if it hadn't happened by now, it probably wasn't going to happen. I felt like everyone else who was succeeding, they were succeeding because they had something that I didn't, and that they were meant for it and qualified for it, and I wasn't. And so for me, what quitting looked like, it wasn't like hands up in the air, shutting down the business, shutting down what I'm doing. I'm not going to work on anything. It wasn't that type of procrastination that you typically see. It wasn't like a actual I quit, not doing this anymore. It was this like subtle self-doubt, subtle like lack of trust in myself, where I would decide, okay, this strategy isn't working anymore. So then I would hire somebody else to try to coach me through whatever obstacle it was that I was going through. And then the thing is that when you quit in that way, where you like decide, oh, this isn't working and I just need to go find the next new thing, the next planner, the next strategy, the next app, the next tool. And for me, it was like different business coaches and different business programs. When you quit, it's not like you quit and then you get to bypass this and you get to success and fulfillment. Every time you quit, you have to go back and start in the inspired dream. Because this shiny new object, and for me, like I said, it was either coaches or programs, because whenever I was in the pit of despair, the voice that would talk to me would be a voice of like, you don't know what you're doing. Clearly, you don't know what you're doing, because if you knew what you were doing, then it would be working. There must be something you don't know. There must be something you're doing wrong. There must be something you're missing. Because you're doing all the things and it's not working. So there has to be something you're doing wrong. So then I would go and search for someone else to teach it to me. I would go and try and search for another strategy. I would try to search for another coach. And I know that a lot of you are going to resonate with this, and this is going to sound very familiar. You try note-taking method after note-taking method. You try switching schools. You try switching professors. You try switching planners that you're using. Because there has to be something you're doing wrong, right? Because why isn't it working? Why don't I have the result it is that I want? And the thing about the pit of despair, and this is the thing that I learned over the past 18 months, is you don't act your way out. You don't action your way out of the pit of despair. You also can't positive think your way out of the pit of despair, because that was another thing that I was doing. But every time I decided it was the strategy and I would hire another coach or purchase another program, I would have to start over, which means I would inevitably hit another pit of despair. And every time I hit the pit of despair, it was like me driving to the grocery store, like me making the decision, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and then deciding that because I hit a stop sign, or because it was taking me longer than it normally takes me to get to the grocery store, that it meant that I would never get there, and so I would turn back home. And then I would look in my fridge and I'd realize, oh crap, I don't have any food, so I need to go to the grocery store. But every time I hit a stop sign or it was taking longer than I thought, I would turn back home. And if you do that, you start driving and you get deterred and you go back home, and then you have to get back in your car and drive, and then you go back home, and then you have to get in your car and drive, and you go back home. You get nowhere fast. You never get to the grocery store. And that's exactly how I was approaching my goals. Is that when it wasn't happening fast enough, when it wasn't happening the way that I thought it should happen, on the timeline that I thought it should happen, without the failures that I was experiencing, I made it mean I would probably never get there, and I was probably doing something wrong. So I would have to start over. It was like me heading back home. Instead of realizing, oh, this pit of despair, it's just a traffic light. Eventually the light is going to turn green and I'll be moving again. Oh, this school bus that I'm stuck behind and it's like making me get to the grocery store 15 minutes later than I thought I was going to get. This is just what it's like being on the road. Eventually, that stop sign is going to close back in and the bus will be moving, which means I will be moving. Oh, there's a roadblock and there's like a detour on the road. This is just what it's like to drive on a street. This happens sometimes. I'm just going to go and do another route. Instead of looking at the pit of despair like that, I made it mean that I wasn't good enough, that this wasn't going to happen for me, that I was never going to achieve my goal. And I would do these very sneaky little quits where I would go try another strategy. Well, I would have like an internal resolve where like I emotionally quit on my goal. I like decided ahead of time that it was probably not going to happen, and I would show up with that sort of defeated attitude. And what that led to was me not getting my goal, which, if I haven't mentioned it, for the past 6 years, my impossible goal has been to make $100,000 in a year through my coaching business. I wanted to work with 100 students in a 12-month period. I wanted to make $100,000 in a 12-month period. I have not hit that goal in the 6 years that I've been running this business. I've worked with 50 students. I've made $50,000 in a 12-month period, but I have come short of that goal time and time and time again. I live on a very busy street. Let me close the window. This is live. This is real. This is raw. Okay. And the story that I kept telling myself over and over again was, I should be further along. And I shouldn't be experiencing this much failure. And it shouldn't be taking me this long. That was the story and the voice of the pit of despair for me. It was, I was probably doing something wrong, because how could I be 6 years in business still working on this goal? And here's the kicker, y'all. I was watching people that started around the same time as me freaking surpass that goal 10 times. And sitting there with this pit in my stomach because I felt so much jealousy and envy. And to make myself feel better, I would create this story that they're probably miserable. Their programs are probably not good. I would just create this, because I couldn't sit with the fact that the reason why I am not where I want to be is because I keep quitting on myself. Emotionally and mentally, I keep quitting on myself. I was doing all the things. I was still showing up. But my energy, my mindset was of someone who thought it probably isn't going to happen for me. And when you show up from that space, you're not all in. And people can feel that. So the irony of this is that inside my program, I teach students not to switch their strategy, their study strategy, to not switch their planners, to not think that it's what they're doing, right? One of the reasons why I keep my study strategy inside my program, Educated, the Art of Becoming a Good Student, so simple is because when you keep things simple, you are forced, and if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I stay on track with this, is you're forced to deal with your emotions and the reality of what is. In order to get through the pit of despair so that you can reach your goals and success and fulfillment, it requires you to not make yourself wrong for being in the pit of despair. Because what determines whether or not you will quit or you're going to persist is the story you tell yourself about being in the pit of despair. And what most of us do when we're in the pit of despair is because we feel scared that we're going to get stuck or that it's not going to work for us, we try to positive think our way. We try to avoid feeling bad or shame or uncomfortable or scared. We're just no, I can't think like that. I can't think like that. I can't think that. I can't feel that. I can't feel that, because if I feel that, I'm going to stay stuck here. If I think that, I'm never going to do the thing. But the pit of despair requires you to just be with what is there. Because this is just part of the journey to getting to where it is that you want to be. And the equivalent that I can give you to this is we're going back to this car and grocery situation, right? It's you being behind this school bus, right? And when that stop sign goes on, you don't sit there and make it mean that you're never going to get to the grocery store. You just sit there. You might be a little bit annoyed. You might be a little bit frustrated. You might curse at the school bus, right? But you sit there and you wait. Because you know eventually that stop sign is going to come back. The door on the school bus is going to close. And you're going to be moving again. It's just a thing that happens along the way. But every time I was in this pit of despair, I made it mean I'm not going to get to the grocery store. And so I would turn around and go back home. And for me, going back home was trying to hire another coach, trying to purchase another program. Instead of realizing that of course I'm uncomfortable. Of course I'm hearing no. Of course I'm being rejected because I'm learning how to build a business. I'm learning how to talk about what I do and position myself and show the value to students who have never probably heard about coaching in their life. Of course, this is what I'm experiencing. This is exactly what it looks like to build a business. Getting stuck at a traffic light is exactly what it looks like to drive to a grocery store. Getting stuck behind a school bus during school season is exactly what it looks like to be driving on the road. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. And that right there, that this is part of the journey, that this is exactly what it looks like, that I'm right on track, is the thing that I have been learning over the past 18 months. It started shortly after I had my daughter. I actually hired to work with a trauma therapist to help me work through some of my emotions because I was like numb. I was like, the only emotion that I would allow myself to feel was frustrated and angry. But other than that, like I felt nothing. I would experience successes within my business and they felt like meh. I would experience failures in the business and they were like meh, or I was pissed off about it. And I wanted to learn how to feel what I was feeling, to feel sad when things didn't go the way that I thought that they were going to go, to feel happy when they did, to feel bored sometimes, because I do often feel bored sometimes talking about study skills when I know that there's deeper shit going on that's now allowing you to show up the way that you want to show up as a student. To feel everything that I was feeling while I was in that pit of despair and not make it mean anything besides, yep, this is exactly what I should be feeling right now. Yep, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. Yep, I'm feeling this and it's okay. Yep, I'm feeling this and it's still gonna work. Yep, I'm going through this and it's okay. When I learned how to just like be with what is, which is what I think is required to get through the pit of despair, because it will run its course. Again, the stop sign is going to come back on the school bus and eventually you're going to be moving again. This is just part of the journey. When I realized that these past 18 months, the shifts that have happened have been insane. I have never felt more certainty in my life that I'm going to hit this goal. And I don't have a timeline attached to it. It may happen by the end of this year. It may not. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that in a 12-month period, I will work with 100 students. I will earn $100,000. The timeline is not my job. When it happens, it is not my responsibility to worry about that. My responsibility is to stay focused on my belief, to stay focused on my certainty. The reason why I have not yet made $100,000 in a year, the reason why I have not yet worked with 100 students in a 12-month period is because for the past 6 years, I have not had that identity. I didn't believe that I was a multiple six-figure academic life coach. I did not have the identity of someone who runs a successful academic life coaching business. My belief was circumstantial. Do you know what I mean when I say that? That my belief was circumstantial? If you're here, comment, interact with me. I only believed that it was possible as long as I had evidence that it was working. I only believed that it was possible when students were enrolling in my program. I only believed that it was possible when students were hiring me to work with them one-on-one. I only believed that it was possible when I was getting comments on my YouTube videos. I only believed that it was possible when people were direct messaging me on Instagram. I only believed that it was possible when people were interacting in my Facebook group. When you believe, like really believe, that belief is unwavering. Because that is who you are. That's how you know that your identity is solid. Is when you know, like you know, like you know, like you know, like you know who you are, no matter what is happening around you. I did not have that kind of belief until these past 18 months. Every time I would do a launch and I didn't get the number of students that I wanted enrolled in the program, all of a sudden, I wasn't a good enough coach. All of a sudden, I'm not meant to do this. All of a sudden, I'm not good enough. All of a sudden, I'm not smart enough. All of a sudden, I'm comparing myself to every single person who I think has everything that I want. Circumstantial belief. And the work that I have done over the past 18 months has been on building that belief and building that identity so that it is unwavering. And I am sitting right now, it is October 12th, 2021, and I have made in my business $52,000 something dollars. I am like $47,000 away from my goal, and there are only 3 months left in the year, barely, because we're like already through October. I have no freaking clue how I'm going to hit my goal. I have only worked this year with like 28 students or something like that. That's way off of 100. 52,000 is like half of 100,000. And yet, I know that I will work with 100 students in a 12-month period. I know that I am the academic life coach for college women. There's no one better. There is no one better. I'm the person that students should be working with. I am all freaking in. All freaking in. And I want to tell you guys the simple shifts that I have made, because really there's actually only been one that I have made in the past 18 months that got me here. I decided that I was that coach already. I am literally looking at I have a big sticky note on that side of my desk, and it says, I am a 6-figure academic life coach. I am so proud of who I'm becoming. I am in awe of myself. And I love the unfolding of the story I get to tell about how I became the life coach for college women. All of these failures that I'm experiencing and that I have experienced in the past 6 years, all of the emails that I send that no one reads or replies to, all of the stories that I create on Instagram that no one watches, all of the YouTube videos that go unnoticed, these are all my story. This is my life that I'm living right now. And I am in the process right now of reaching my success and fulfillment. It has not passed me. I'm just still in the story. Like, I am on chapter 4 maybe of like a 12-part book. I'm not going to quit reading the book just because the story up until this point has been sad. There are so many more chapters to go. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen? In the best kind of way. The story is still unfolding. And it only ends when I choose that it ends. When I decide I'm not reading the book anymore. When I quit. It only ends when I quit. The moment that I realize that it's all working. It's all working. I started writing in my journal. So these are just my journals for this year, y'all. Like, this is how much work I have been doing behind the scenes. Oh, where's my other one? It's somewhere over there. But these are just two. There's this one that I'm reading to you guys from right now. And then there's another one. And we're only 10 months into the year. And every day I'm just working on building my belief and making it even stronger than it is. And the only shifts that I've made is I'm looking for the evidence. I'm looking for the evidence for how it's all working. Do you know that in the past 6 years, I have worked with over 400 plus students, close to 500? Do you know that over the course of 6 years, I've had 1.4 million views on my YouTube channel? Do you know that in the past 6 years, I have made multiple 6 figures? I created that with my mind. Like, I had to go from failing out of a bio major to graduating nursing school with honors, landing my dream job as a nurse, coaching students on the side, figuring out how to build a business, figuring out how to market a business, figuring out how to make YouTube videos, figuring out how to edit YouTube videos, figuring out how to create an email list, figuring out how to write copy, figuring out how to do Instagram, figuring out how to do taxes for a business, figuring out how to coach students, figuring out how to build a curriculum, delivering that curriculum, navigating when students aren't getting the results it is that they want, and working with them, dealing with discomfort. Do you know the things that I have done with my life in the past 6 years? It freaking blows my mind. Because all of these things that I've created came from a thought. I had an idea and I built this. I birthed a baby with no meds in my home on my living room floor while building a business. I have built this business while working as a nurse. The amount of students who have the careers of their dreams because of my programs, the amount of women who are making more money than they've ever made because of their college degree that they earned because of my programs, the amount of women whose self-confidence, whose self-esteem, whose lives have changed because of my program and my coaching, it blows my freaking mind. That I created all of this. I did this. That was the shift that I made. Is giving myself credit for how far I have come. And using that as evidence for how far I will go. Because if I can make it this far by not believing in myself half the time, imagine what I'm going to create believing in myself 100% of the time. You guys have seen nothing yet because I have been holding back. And if this is what I can create holding back, the world is not even ready for Clarissa mother effing Ian and the things that she's going to create in her life. So let me tell you what I have in store for myself and for y'all, because I have not quit on this goal. because I'm not quitting on this goal until I hit the goal. And then when I hit that goal, I'm just going to set another goal. I don't know when this goal is going to happen. Like I said, it might not even happen in 2021. But I know that it will and that it is. I'm that certain. I trust that I will figure it out. I trust that I'm right on track. I trust that nothing has gone wrong. This is just my story. This is the story of it took me 6 years or 7 years or however many years to hit this goal, but I hit it. That's what I care about. So this is the plan that I have for myself, right? So I'm going back to basics, which is what I tell my students to do. I did a self-evaluation, and I tell my students to do this weekly, and I typically do it weekly as well. My coach that I work with forces me to do it on top of the fact that I was already doing it for myself. But when I did my evaluation, which the way that I did it, the way that I started was I literally wrote down everything that I've accomplished in my lifetime. Like everything that I've done in the 33 years that I've been alive. And I gave myself credit for everything. I figured out how to study. I got into nursing school. I made it through high school without getting pregnant, because the high school I went to, everybody was pregnant. Not that it's a bad thing if that is your story, but I'm literally just giving myself credit for everything, right? I got married. I created a baby. I birthed the baby. I'm an incredible mom. I've built this business. I made a YouTube channel. I've been on this YouTube channel since 2012. I have done a lot in my life. I've delivered, I don't even know how many babies as a nurse. I was a cardiac nurse for a little bit, 2 years. Hi, Walisha, thank you. So much. I've done so much. So I started with that. And then I asked myself, what am I frustrated with? What is not working right now? What's not working? Where is it that I feel frustrated? Where is it that I feel stuck? And I also wrote down what is working. So I looked at what wasn't working. I looked at what is working. And what I realized is that when I was in the pit of despair, a lot of things were actually working, but because they weren't working as fast as I thought that they should be, because remember, that was part of my story, because they weren't working as fast as they should be, I made it mean that nothing was working. So I threw the baby out with the bathwater. And this is what I tell my students not to do. Do not change your entire study routine just because you failed the exam, because there's something in there that worked. We just got to double down on that. So I realized that YouTube works really well for my business. Students love my YouTube channel. And in fact, 96%, I think when I was looking at my statistics, 96% of the students who have worked with me, so we're talking about over 400 students, they have found me, most of them found me on YouTube. And I stopped creating consistent YouTube videos because I was comparing myself to the likes of Thomas Frank at College Info Geek, Mariana's Study Corner, all of these people who have millions of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I felt like nobody cares, nobody's listening to me, nobody wants to watch my YouTube channel. And I got frustrated and I stopped creating consistent videos. And it was working. This is what the pit of despair does. If you listen to that voice, it will have you act in all sorts of a fool. So I'm going back to consistent YouTube videos. You'll see a video on this channel every Thursday. Every Thursday. For the foreseeable future. These videos will be directed towards students who I consider non-traditional. So students who are adult students going back to school, or, you know, when I went to college, 18 to 21, I worked full time while I was in college. The students who failed before and are coming back. The students who have been told that they weren't smart enough. This is the channel for you. The videos are going to be geared towards you. You're going to see a weekly update from me on my impossible goal. All the things that are working. I'm like literally going to be doing these weekly reviews. What worked this week? What didn't work this week? What am I celebrating? What went really well? You're going to see it in action. Sometimes the videos will be as long as they were today, which whenever this ends, it has to end by 3 p.m. because my schedule says so, right? Sometimes it'll just be a 20-minute check-in. But I want you to see the behind the scenes of what it looks like to be on the journey to becoming and having everything that you desire. Hi, Blessing. You often only hear about people's after story. Actually, you hear about their beginning, like their before, and you hear about their after. You never get to see, witness, or experience the middle ground where they're becoming the person that you look up to. And you know why no one shares it? Because it's messy as fuck. It is so messy. And yes, I swear. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch my channel. But I do swear, especially when I'm passionate about things. I think an F-bomb thrown in here and there, like perfectly placed, is just chef's kiss. It really gets the message across. I feel words hold energy. And sometimes freaking just doesn't cut it. You got to throw that F-bomb in there. You know? So, you're going to be seeing it in action. I'm going to share all my feelings with you. What worked, what didn't work. So right now, my plan is I'm creating weekly YouTube videos. I'm trying this batching out where I'm recording a few videos at a time and pre-scheduling them. I did that last week. Let me tell you, my camera died several times. My memory card was full. Then something was corrupted. And something that was supposed to take me 2 hours took me like 8 hours. And the videos are filmed. And I'm now in the process of editing them. And it's just not going the way that I thought it was going to go. And so many things are happening not the way that I thought that they were going to happen. But this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. I am forcing myself to talk about Educated, the Art of Becoming a Good Student, which is my group coaching program. I've had over 121 students go through that program since its initial iteration, which was in 2017 or 18 was when I first launched that program, which is amazing. 121 students have gone through that program, and it just gets better and better and better and better and better because I'm always getting better as a coach. I'm always adding to the program, and this is a signature program that I'm actually pitching to colleges and universities. Like, that's another thing that I didn't even touch on here. Like, for the past 2 years, I've been trying to get a college and university to purchase licensing to my program, and it has not happened. I've talked to countless schools. I had one school who I love, this community college in Pennsylvania, who actually hired me to do workshops for their college and they've hired me to like audit their program to like give them recommendations of how they can improve it to help their students succeed. And that's as close as I've gotten. But my goal, like my ultimate goal, my 3-year plan is that a school will have purchased licensing to my program for $1 million. Like, that goal seems really impossible, but that's in my 3-year plan. Like, all of these things are happening behind the scenes, and I'm failing on the daily. Like, all the time. I cry all of the time because I get frustrated that things aren't working as fast as they should be. I hit roadblocks all of the time. And this is the reason why I'm working with the coach, because it's so easy for me to get stuck in that pit of despair, or to like do those mini emotional quits where I'm still showing up and doing all the actions, right? From a student standpoint, the way that an emotional quit looks like is you do nothing until the night before the exam, and then you're like, nah, I actually really want to pass this class, so then you cram. That's what an emotional quit looks like on a student standpoint. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, it looks like not sending emails in the middle of your launch because you're not getting the amount of students that you want enrolled into your program. It looks like mentally and emotionally checking out and deciding that it's not going to work. It looks like wavering in your belief. I'm so glad that this has happened the way that it has happened, because one of the things that I truly believe is the reason why we don't have the things it is that we want is because we are not yet the person who can have it. You've got to become that person, because the person that you are right now is the person who can have the life you have right now. If you want a different life, you have to become and embody the identity of the person that has that life that you want. Up until this point in my business, my identity was, I'm a baby business owner. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just not someone who can like be that successful. I'm always going to be the person who like gets close but doesn't ever make it. That was my identity until 18 months ago. My identity now is watch the F out, because I'm coming. Make room, bitches, because I have arrived. I'm already that person. Time just needs to catch up. It's already done. It's happening. I'm in the process of building it right now. But whether or not it happens is not a question. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of time. And I can wait. I am willing to freaking wait. Because in the process of me waiting, I'm going to become everything that I desire to be. And if I focus on that, there's no way that I can't have what I want. So my plan is the YouTube videos. My plan is getting better and better at communicating the value of what I do as an academic life coach. I used to get so frustrated that students didn't understand the value of it. I used to get so angry. I would sit here and like in my journal, I'd be like, I don't get why students they don't understand why they need me. Like this is what I would write in my journal. I'd get so angry and so frustrated. And the truth of the matter is, this is a new concept for students. I know what coaching is, and I know the value of coaching because I have been in this world since 2012. I understand the value of being mentored, the value of investing in coaching, the value of investing in personal development. But for a lot of students, this is a new concept. So they need educating on it. They need time to lean into it. They need time to sit with it. They need it to be explained. They need to be explained the value of it. And I was getting annoyed because they didn't already know. One, that's not very nice. And two, that's not very emotionally intelligent and mature. I had to do a lot of shadow work over these past 18 months, like looking at my ugly. Like all of the ugly bits of myself where I like thinking about it now, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I thought that. I cannot believe that those were the things that I would say in my journal where nobody could read. And I also have so much compassion for that version of me because she didn't know any better. and she was really in her shit. And she needed time to grow and to learn the emotional intelligence tools and to work with the trauma coach to help her process her emotions and feel her emotions and navigate her emotions and understand that those yucky bits of ourselves that we don't want people to see, it's called being a human being. And those parts of us are what make all the good parts 10 times better because of that contrast. We don't know what's good until we felt bad. We don't know what success is until we felt failure. We live in a dual world. We don't know if something is cold unless we know what is hot. The contrast is there for the contrast to enhance the experience. And I'm just so excited. I'm excited for this weekly series. It'll happen like literally every Tuesday at 2 p.m. I will be here. Come hell or high water. I will be here. I will be here. I will be here. I will be here. Sharing with you all the behind the scenes of everything. What worked this week, what I'm celebrating, what didn't work, and what I plan moving forward. On a strategy level and also on a mental and emotional level. The thoughts that I'm navigating through, the beliefs that I'm shifting through, the healing that I'm doing, the shifts that I'm making in the way that I talk about the business, that I talk about academic life coaching, the mishaps that happen with the YouTube. I have one other person on my team, Claudia, who I freaking love, who she was a student inside of my program, and I helped her pass nursing school, and she is now out there being a nurse. This is her second month of being a nurse. And prior to her working with me, she didn't even think it was possible for her to graduate nursing school. She had tried it so many times. And she's now a freaking nurse. I have another student who has her dream job in the Silicon Valley area of California as a coder. She moved from Canada to the US. She thought that she was never going to be able to survive her double major. And she landed an incredible job, fresh out of college, making a shit ton of money, living her life in California. Like, this is what I have helped build in the world. And I am just going to show out and show up way more after having done this work. The YouTube videos are happening. These weekly live streams where I'm just sharing and updating y'all are happening. You're going to be getting a lot of sales emails from me explaining the value of coaching, so just get used to it because they're coming. I'm not going to apologize for it because I'm a business owner. Right? This is how I earn my money. You don't get upset at Old Navy for charging you $5 for a shirt. Right? It's just like hiring a trainer at the gym or a dance instructor. Except I help you become a better student. I help you how to handle all of the things that come up as you're a student. Things that your school should be offering you and they're not. And my goal is to really hone in my program so much to really create such change on a student by student level that colleges and universities notice me and that they purchase licensing to my program so that one day students don't have to pay for this kind of support, that it's just included as part of their tuition. That's my big 3-year vision. But this is my starting point. This is me making it happen. This is me being on the journey there. This is part of it. This is the story unfolding. And it's a beautiful one. Amanda said, even though I graduated nursing school earlier this year, I continue to watch your videos. I still have my notes from the coach call I did with you. Great advice that helped me through. Oh my God, it's so amazing to read that, Amanda. And congratulations on graduating nursing school. All right, y'all. It's 3 p.m. I gotta go. I gotta edit a video on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you here next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye.